Hi there, internet world, or the world of internet. Sunday morning, just doing some runarounds and, still in my coaching mode. So, this time of the year, one of the things I've been leaning on my athletes about would be their association. So I wanted to come on here and kind of do a little bit of quick ramble about associations and the importance of association, and we'll break it down a little bit, what I mean by association. One of the things for me, my athletes were always, they kind of knew the type of coach that I was. I'm very straightforward. I'm direct with them. My good buddy Frank Mensa, he always reminded a lot of the athletes, like, hey, you know what? I'm here to be your coach and your mentor. I'm not here to be your friend. Right? Yeah, we can't be friends, but my job here is coaching and mentoring you. And so a huge part of coaching is honesty, whether the person likes to hear it or not. Of course, we can always kind of, sweeten it up a little bit, but sometimes, you just got to be straight and you got to be direct, and you've got to be, in order for me to help you achieve your goal, I have to be honest with you, whether you like to hear it or not. And I know at times, like my athletes, they kind of knew it. Like, you know what? Don't want to hear the truth, don't ask. But a lot of athletes I knew, when they got around me, a lot of them didn't want to come back around me. Right? Most did, but a lot of them didn't want to come back around because I was going to tell them the truth, whether they like to hear it or not. And then that's the deal. The idea is that if you want to do something, I mean, if you tell me you want to be a national champion, I'm going to ask you about XYZ. And then I'm going to tell you the truth about XYZ. So associations at this time of the year, this is one of the things I always leaned on my guys about, because this is championship time. And if you're in school, this is championship time for you too, because this time right now you're probably I guess if you do semesters, you're in your second semester, you're kind of gearing up towards the end of the year. Like this is the push time. This is January going on to February, so this is the push time. And so for us in the wrestling community, this is championship time. This is where you got your provincials, your states, all that coming up, and you're kind of gearing towards your nationals if you're in college, university. So one of the things that we talked about is association, and association is very, very critical. And here's a simple thing about association. Right? Check your friends, man. Check the people who are around you. Check who's got your ear. There's a famous guy who says, who's got your ear? That was always a question he asked. Who's got your ear? I don't know. One of my mentors, that's one of his things. He's always asking, who's got your ear? Right? If you want to know what you're thinking, just figure out who's got your ear. If you want to know where you're going, who's got your ear? Right? Who's got your ears? Who's got your eyes? If you want to know the type of person who you're going to be, who's got your ear? So as you're pushing towards your championship, and if you're a parent and you're really you really want your kids to have them good grades, well, who's got their ears? Who's got their eyes and who's got their ears? You'll know it. If you want them to stay out of trouble, sorry, I was chewing on peanuts, so I got stuff in my teeth here. Hopefully you can't see it, but I got this big gap tooth here, so most stuff don't really stay. But yeah, if you're a parent, you want a good kid, you can scream and yell all you want. You can do whatever it is that you need to do. You can lay down punishment, right, until whatever, sheep start turning blue. But who's got their eyes and who's got their ears? That will tell you everything that you need to know. And so, going back to, our young winners here, our youth winners. And, if you like the information that we're pouring out here, like and share, subscribe. But let's keep rolling with this. So who's got your ear, man? Right? And so right now, you got to look around at your friends. You've got to, especially, most of the information that I divulge, it's really for, let's say between the 10 to 19-year-old crowd. So who's got your ear? Check your friends. Write down, these are the guys, girls that I spend the most amount of time with. Right, these are my homeboys. These are who I kick it with. I'm doing FaceTime or whatever else. This is who I'm normally with. Right. So if your ambition is to be a champion, right? You talk about the win formula. I know another mentor of mine, he has this real cool video where he talks about, if you ever get a chance, you can Google David Immunite, the win formula. David Immunite, the win formula, right? And so it's a really, really, I encourage all of you guys to go through it, whether you're a parent or you're an athlete. It's an incredible formula when you think about winning. One of the things he talks about is, so if you're looking at your friends and the people who you associate with, you gotta, use this win formula, right? What do they want? First off, what do they want? Like the W, what do you want, right? And so if you want to be a champion, if you're a young man and you're saying, listen, I want to go to Harvard, or I want to be on an NCAA Division I team, I want to be, whatever the deal, scholarship at college, university, I want to be an astronaut. Okay, so that's what you want. That's your big goal. Okay, now, when are you willing to do it? Right? Are you willing to do what it takes to the sacrifices that it takes? And when you're checking your friends, right, checking your association, are they willing? Do they want stuff? Do they want more than just whatever? I just want to chill out and play my video games. And if you're trying to go somewhere and everyone's just want to chill out, you're gonna have to cut them loose, right? So are you willing to cut them loose? Are they willing to if they say, so I had this growing up, and I have a ton of my athletes, who had to check friends over the years because they were willing, they wanted to be national champions. They wanted to get scholarships at colleges and universities. But what they found was that the people that were their friends for years, they didn't really want too much. They didn't really kind of know what they wanted to. So some of them had to be willing to cut their friends, right? They had to take the initiative. That's the I, right? They had to take the initiative to kind of, doesn't mean that they hated those people or anything like that. They hated on them, but they just had to limit their association. Limit it. Some of them had to just extremely limit it. But are they willing to take the initiative? Because initiative. So if you have a whole group of people around you and they say want to do this and they want to do that, and they aren't willing to take the initiative, then to do it, then hey. You definitely want to check that association, because if they say they want this and they want that and they're not willing to take the initiative to actually do it, then they're not going to do it, and therefore that's going to affect your ability, or your relationship with those people, because if you're a winner, winners and non-winners don't really get along for a long time. Right? They can do stuff for a short time. That's what I mean by you gotta limit your association. So if you're a winner and you found that yourself, you've surrounded yourself with non-winners, some people call them losers, right? Then you gotta limit that association, man. Maybe you gotta limit it down to 0. I don't know. That's gonna be up to you. All right. So the other thing is that okay, some people they want some stuff, they take the initiative, and then they meet with failure, right? They didn't succeed at it. So what do? Do they have that, the end, the never give up? Do they never give up? Do they just keep on going? Say, okay, yeah, you know what? I learned from it. Okay, maybe I knew I needed to know some more things. So you know what? I'm gonna try it this way. I'm gonna try it that way. I'm gonna do this. Are you surrounding yourself with people who have that type of a mentality that, you know what? I did not get what I wanted this time, but that ain't nothing. I'm gonna roll out. I'm gonna go out again, and I'm gonna get this. Because if you're not, and you're trying to get somewhere, can you imagine that? I mean, you jumped in this boat and you want to go across the ocean, and you found that 10 people on the boat, they really don't want to go across the ocean, right? They just wanted to kind of just float out, 50 meters away from land, and they're cool with that, right? So are you know what I mean? And also too, some of them said, yeah, we want to go across the ocean. Okay, well, are you willing to paddle? Are you willing to do what it takes? You might get a little bit hungry on the boat. It might get a little bit rough, right? Are you willing to make those sacrifices? So, do they have that never give up attitude? We lost our war, we gotta row with our own hands. The engine's gone, we gotta do it ourselves. Okay, never give up. So, as you're going through, you gotta check your association. Another huge association that people overlook, and it's so incredibly destructive to your long-term game plan. And that's why I talk about it as a long-term game plan. Athletics, if you're in athletics is a 2 to 5, 10 for the very, very fine few. And so You're a parent, you're getting your kid involved. I see a lot of it. I mean, over the years, I see so much of it where, you know, the parents are you're just pushing your kids for athletics. You know, especially my son just came out of, I don't know if some of the football guys watch this or on the football team, right? My son just did his first season of football. And, you know, it was hilarious because for me, as a high performance coach, you know, I never really had to go to like, for years, so this community volunteer stuff, and I just saw, man, like just dads who were just, and it's not down on dads, I'm sure that there's, you know, whatever, everybody has their own reason for it, and I just saw like the amount of pushing that some of these dads did for their kids, and I'm like, man, this kid, he ain't gonna make it. Like, you know what the chances of you making a professional football team is, like to make it the NFL? Do you know that how slim that chance is? So it's got to be a long-term plan. I'm not saying, like, you know, give up on anything like that. I'm not saying, that's not it. What I'm saying is that have a long-term plan. Because if your kid's like 6'5", whatever, 200 pounds, 250 pounds, do you know how many 6'5", 250-pound kids that there are? There's a lot of them, right? There's in America, I'm talking about Canada and the United States, there's, 400 million people? You don't think there's going to be at least 10 more 6'5", 200, you know? So you gotta check your association. Mean like, okay, what are you listening to? You know, like who are you listening to? That is a massive killer. Because I, you know, a lot of my athletes, you know, they be pumping the music and say, ah, man, you know, G, this pumps me up. You know, my guys call me G. You know, this kind of pump me up. This pumps me up. I'm like, okay, cool. Right? I mean, you listen to hip hop, right? Hip hop, the new like causing. I don't know. I don't want to get started on that. But let's say it this way. I love hip-hop, but I understand that there's a message that's being carried in every single song, and that one of the things with association when it comes down to listening and music is that this is something that you'll probably repeat. You could repeat that 100 times a day like that, and you've got to check the message. So it might make you feel good for the moment, for the next year or so, but it might leave something in you that chips away at your confidence and your personality that's going to cause, I want to say, irreversible long-term damage to who you are. So you've really got to check your association when it comes on to music. Who's got your ear, right? Who's got your ear? Now, if 50 Cent has your ear, 50 Cent, you know, I like listening to 50 Cent, but I you know, at the stage I'm a grown man, I got to check, you know, I got to limit that association. So every now and then, yeah, you know what, I might feel like listening to Problem Child, right? So, you know, you gotta really check your association with that, right? Who you watching? If you're on TV, I mean, you know, I think I'm on Real Housewives or whatever some of these other things are. You gotta understand that all these things that you're watching it's being stuck here. Sorry, at the back, in the subconscious, and you know what? Your subconscious just plays it out as a movie at one point or another. So if you're trying to accomplish something, right? You want to be a pilot down the road. You can't be hanging out with people who, you know, when you look at the win formula, right? You can't be hanging out and listening to people who don't have, you know, that will or the desire or that want to do the same thing. Right? You can't be trying to, you know, get to the moon with people who don't want to get to the moon, or, you know, or something of the equivalent. You know, initiative. Right? That's huge. All you got to do is step back and say, well, which one of my friends just talk? Which one of the people might just talk? They say want to do something, but I never really see them doing anything. Right? And so you gotta limit your association with that. And then, you know what? If you're a winner, man, you can't be associating with people who just give up. Every time like something comes along, you know, a little bit of wind comes here, you know, rocks their boat, they give up. Right? That's, you know, and that's a part of growing up. And, you know, as a parent, you gotta have this conversation with your kids. And I understand, especially from a coach's perspective, how difficult that is, because, and well, coaches and a parent now, I'm a parent, I see my son, I'm like, man, you know, sometimes you as a parent have to run that win formula on the coaches who are coaches and teachers who are influencing your young one, your boy, your girl. You gotta, because if they're not, if you can't send your son to that coach and say, listen, like, coach, you know what, this is the reality of it. Like, when I coached, a lot of parents brought their kids to me to have actual real world discussions to them, because they knew I was going to give them a real world discussion. It wasn't going to be, I'm not going to tell it to them because it's the thing to do as a coach or whatever, because the parent wanted me. do it, and I didn't want that kid to leave, the parents to take this kid out of the organization. That was never me. I was going to tell it to them like it's supposed to be. So if you don't have that coach around your child, you need to find an organization. And sometimes it's, I know it's a double-edged sword, because maybe that coach, they're really prepped on winning, and they have a lot of athletes who do have a lot of success. So that's why it's, when I say that 50-year plan, that long-term plan is so critical and important, because your son might be a high school superstar, but might be a deadbeat at 25 to 30 years old, because they're spending a lot of time around someone who didn't really arm them for life. They kind of made them help them to become the superstar athlete, but they didn't really arm them for life. So yeah, you like this information. Remember, I guess I gotta say this enough, man. Subscribe to the channel. Click on the like button, the thumbs up button there. All right, and share this thing. Share the information. Share it amongst your friends. Right, you don't have to share it out there world. If you know somebody who really can appreciate this information, and it's not coming from just some guy on the internet. Right, this is coming from somebody who's done this for almost 2 decades now. Right, that the parents have brought their kids and trusted me for the last 2 decades. Lots of kids, tons of national champions, all over the world. Like a lot of these kids travel all over the world. They've gone to scholarships in CIS schools, NCAA Div 1, Div 2 schools, NAI schools, and NCAA schools. And so you're getting it from somebody who's been doing it for a long time and has cared more about the kids than he has about the victories. The real victories were, the other day, it was a couple months ago, I got invited to one of my athletes' wedding, and he wanted me to speak on stage. And the dad coming up to me before that and saying, how proud he is of his son. That is the real victory. It's always been the real victory for myself. And so, like and share it, and spread it to some of your friends. You don't have to just post it out there on Facebook, right? If you know somebody who who really is, send it to him. Say, listen to this guy for a little bit. He's got some stuff that he wants to say. And subscribe to it, because I'm always going to give you stuff that's going to help you. You can always reach out to me, inbox me, Garfieldgairy@gmail.com. You can message me, and I'll get back to you. Outside of that, I got to go get some groceries before the phone starts ringing. Husbands, you know how it is, right? You get the phone call that says, hey, where you at? Outside of that, enjoy the rest of your end of week. Remember, thank God I have, right?